sometimes support comes into our ears negatively.
Definitely.
Right? And you're like, what are you saying to me? You're saying the thing that I love so much I suck at? Sometimes you just have to eat that and continue to do the thing that is making you happy.
For sure.
We're rolling?
We're rolling.
Things are happening. Welcome everyone to the Inside Hilton's Head podcast. Inside of my head, all the things that I think about.
Yeah.
Whether it's art, whether it's plant styling, design, whether it's social media or
family,
definitely family.
Things.
Family is very important. The important things one might have in their head. Of course, I'll be sharing on this podcast and sharing the insides of others' heads as well, special guests. But I'm not doing this alone. I have the voice. If you can't see the visuals and you only hear a voice, you're like, who is that? Is that his wife? No, it's definitely not my wife. She's working.
Shout out Fiona.
She's doing real stuff. The person that I will be having fun in the sandbox with on this podcast is my co-pilot and someone who is very new to my world, my orbit. In the business sense, I will say is Molly Lee.
Hello.
Molly, I'm very happy to have you as a part of my team, but also to have you join me in this podcast because at first I thought I wanted to just do this alone.
Yep.
Because I do find myself talking to myself a lot.
We all find you doing that a lot.
We all. Well, I mean, come on. Most people, I'm not going to say most because I don't know about you yourself or Ryan, our third co-pilot. I don't know if that's a pilot, but someone who just sits in the back, does things. I find myself motivating myself through the way of having conversations with myself inside my head or outwardly to continue things, to keep things going. So I told all of you on the team that that's what I was thinking about, and you all shot that down. So Molly suggested.
Well, I believe the words were, "We love you, Hilton. You're great. You're such a great speaker, but listening to you talk to yourself for 30 minutes sounds like a lot."
Yeah. Hey, look, I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who would love to hear me speak.
Yeah, give us feedback on that.
30 minutes. Yeah. If you don't want Molly on this podcast, give me feedback. Give us feedback. I want her to hear it and see it. Because it would be very nice to just hear me talk about how much I care for my family and plants. No, but it was suggested that we have another voice to go back and forth with. And I thought our relationship was strong enough, and the way we jive has always been great, that you would be the perfect co-pilot for this podcast. Now, Molly, let's let all the listeners and the viewers know how we go back, right? The first time we met was
2000, I want to say probably right around 2018.
2018. Where were you working?
That's when I just started at Little Leaf, which is a boutique plant shop in DC, which I would love to plug in right now, but
R.I.P.
we closed. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Pour one out. They were a great shop. One of the best plant shops to really do the whole boutique thing in the area. Super big supporters of a small business. And as someone who finds that really important, I applied to work there. I was a shop manager, and then I became shop director, worked there for 5.5 years. But through that opportunity is when I first started working with you, when you were kind of starting your whole thing.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I think it was one of the first workshops I had done in the area. Definitely the first I had done in DC. And it was a small shop, but full of love in that space. For all the people who worked on the team were great. Shout out to Jennifer.
She's gonna love that.
She was one of the first.
Love that.
She definitely is. That Jennifer energy is what I love anytime I walk into any space. And I will say the same for you.
Yeah. She was my work wifey.
Work wifey sounds about right, because she was great. But at the same time, what I'm saying is the individuals who work in spaces like that, especially plant shops, shout out to all the small boutique plant shops out there, even the big ones who've brought me into their orbit to allow me to share what I need to share about plants with the people in the area. But when I met you, we just really connected in a way where I felt like I could talk to you. We could joke about
from the get-go.
everything. We could joke from the start, right? About all of it, because a lot of individuals, and those of you who saw me when I came through Little Leaf, knew me mainly through social media, a lot of it isn't as free and expressive and down to earth as most of the folks on social, I guess on social appear to be.
Yep.
But I like to show my true colors, true form to everyone when I walk into a space like that. And I knew from that moment when we met that I was like, all right, this is a person that I can talk shit to, right? Because sometimes you just need to talk shit, right? Like
and there's a lot of that.
There's a lot of shit talk.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to plant people and plant shops, I hear.
Yeah, I mean, I got some tea.
I don't
That can be a separate episode.
That could be a separate episode because I don't want you spilling any tea on my floors, on my rug. I'll see keep that
it contained for now.
You see that we're well, if you're listening, you can't see, but if you know me or if you're watching, we are shoeless in my home. We are wearing nice socks. I tell people who are going to come to my home, hey, please wear nice socks because we are a shoe off household.
I love that.
Why do you love that, Molly? Tell me.
For those of you who can't see and are listening to my voice, you probably can't tell from my amazing English speaking skills, but I am Asian.
I'm sorry.
Can we put in like a little for that one?
You just did it. No, we're not. No one's putting in any. You did it. Boy, hold on. Asian.
I am.
Come on, that's so broad. You're Korean. There we go.
I was born and raised in Korea. My parents still live there.
My wife, she arrived here to this wonderful country at the age of 13.
Where's she from?
She's from Germany.
Oh.
Dutch blood, German born.
Whoa.
Put that out there. And she sounds like a regular white lady from America, from middle of nowhere America, right? So accent gone. She learned how to speak English through cartoons.
I love that. I learned how to speak English through Eminem, the rapper.
Okay, now we don't need another podcast for that. We're gonna speak about that right now. No, let's not talk about Eminem, but let's talk about when you moved here. I'm gonna guess when you were 10.
Yeah, 7th grade.
7th grade, so that's not 10, that's like
probably
11, 12?
Pretty much there.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
But I mean, to be fair, I went to international school in Korea, so my education was always in English. My dad speaks fluent English, so that helped a lot. I've always had family living in the States, like my grandma and my aunts and uncles and cousins, so I'd spend summers here. That really helped a lot in terms of language learning, is just being exposed to native English speakers.
Sure.
Totally different than just learning in a school. So that I was really grateful for that.
Yeah. It is the new year. New podcast.
Yes.
Those out there listening or those watching are maybe even new to you, maybe new to me.
Yep.
They've never seen us, heard us before. So welcome. 24 is looking good so far. There's a lot of new stuff that we have planned for the Hilton Carter brand. Lots of putting you guys to work, making your parents proud.
Really did.
Making my parents proud.
Good. That's important.
That's very important. So I always feel pressure top of the year to make sure that I am I take on so many new things and become better than I was the year before.
Yep.
Some find it difficult.
I think you do that every week, Hilton. Or closer to like an every other day timeline.
Well, it's important to stay active and to stay motivated and to, we are in, and I say we because you're now part of my team, like we are in a space where there's no time to be good in the moment.
Yep.
You have to continue to reinvent yourself and become better at the thing that you are trying to put out there in the world and to be creative. So
no time to lose.
No time to lose. So I think for me in 24, like I try to keep my resolutions at a reachable position. How about yourself? Before I go into what mine are, what are your New Year's resolutions and have you been sticking to them so far?
So larger picture, I don't believe in resolutions. And I think that's just a personal thing because I am a very goal-oriented person. And once I have a goal, I pursue it actively and immediately.
For sure.
So when I'm starting to think at the end of the year of like, what can I do better next year? I'm kind of like, why can't I just start that now? So something for me that I was starting to think about last December was, I want to be meditating more. It makes me feel good. I can take 10 minutes out of my day every day to do this in the morning. No problem. Obviously slacked on it. And then now I'm like, okay, well, in 2024, I'll do that. And then I was like, why don't I just start now? So a couple weeks ago, I started meditating every morning.
Love it.
Makes me feel good. Meditated on my train ride over here today.
So you mean like you take 10 minutes in your morning. What does that meditation session look like? Are we in a dark room?
I downloaded an app, and I'm not going to say it until they sponsor this podcast.
Well, maybe if you say it, they'll hear it.
They're amazing.
And then they'll sponsor it.
Calm, the app.
Calm, the app.
Yep.
Okay. I like that. Okay. Tell me a little bit about Calm.
Tamara Levitt is the person who leads the meditation for me. Every day there's a new prompt. Ooh. That helps you think a little bit, whether that's, just about yourself or your relationship to others, how you should carry yourself, the environment, just anything, along with a more, commanding ways of how you should be thinking in that moment, what your breathing should look like, things like that. The mixture of the two kind of puts my mind in the right place and then helps me not think about, the million things that you've asked me to do that day.
Ooh, brutal. Boss life, people who work for you always want to pull you down, right?
I'm just saying I can take the 10 minutes in the morning to do that, get my mind straight, and then
for sure.
I don't notice the difference if I'm just doing it once in a while, but if I'm meditating consistently for weeks at a time, months at a time, I really, really feel the difference.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I can easily, for me, I would say in that same respect, I never get to just sit and do like that sort of meditation. Like I don't have an app, but I do that through the process of tending to the plants in the morning. I think the process of watering the plant, the process of wiping down the leaf, the process of just staring out into nature as well.
For sure.
Is the same sort of feel that what you're talking about that I think you're getting. I feel like I get that.
Yeah.
In that sort of way.
You just achieve that meditative state.
For sure. And I try to put that out there for everyone. It's like there's ways to take a breath.
Definitely.
Throughout the day. And I feel like for me, making sure that we are tending to ourselves, which I think is a great thing that has been put out there over the last 10 years, this idea of self-care.
Absolutely.
But I do think that it's important in 24. It's been important before, but I'm going to put more energy into it and push it out there more in 24 to not just think about self-care, but think about all care for everyone who is around me. Right?
Is that a resolution of yours?
Yeah, well, sure. I mean, so far my resolution has been to be a more giving individual and not just like, here's a gift. I bought this for you. No, just like giving in this sort of respect as well. There's a lot of things that I hold back on just because I'm like, no one wants to hear that. No one wants to see that. People.
Wait, you hold back on saying things?
Yes.
Okay. Clarifying that real quick.
Yeah, I do. I mean, there's a lot that I have to say, and I decide to edit myself before I say it. This is not just word vomit that just comes out of my mouth sometimes. I know you think it might be, but like I said, I talk to myself. I'm an only child.
Me too.
I know. From one only child to another, right? Like I think the idea of talking to yourself has been there since I was a kid, right? The idea of playing with your imaginary friends. But I do think that there's certain things that I'm like, is that something to share with this individual right now? Maybe not. I'll hold that back. And this is someone whose background is in art and went to many art schools where criticism was a thing. You had to sit in critiques, and you had to have thick enough skin to take some criticism. Now, I will say many people will criticize you and their only intent is to be a dick.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
That's it. But criticism that is going to help you grow, will help the thing that you are putting out there. I would say not just positive criticism, but constructive criticism is important. So if you're giving someone feedback, how can I, from what you have already given me or what you already have going on, how can I tell you something that will be tangible, that will actually benefit you in the future?
Definitely more leans like guidance and direction.
For sure.
Because you're not there to, like you said, point out all their wrongdoings, but rather help them improve in their way forward.
Yeah.
Especially in a work setting as someone who's managed teams, it's really difficult, like learning how to give feedback. And I lean closer to you in my sort of holding that back and kind of like, I tend to overthink a little bit more about how can I give someone what they need to hear in order to improve without, offending them, hurting their feelings, etc. And I think that's not just in the professional sense, but in a personal sense too, of like your partner or your friends or whatever, people who are close around you, is sort of figuring out how to phrase something or communicate something in a way that they will not only be receptive, but like not their feelings hurt in the end.
But it's difficult to understand or know what is going to hurt their feelings.
For sure.
Right? So for me, I think that's what's been holding me back.
Definitely.
Right? Some things hurt. Some things are real or true.
So your resolution is trying to hurt more people using your words this year.
No, Jesus, Molly. No, that's not my resolution. My resolution.
I'll prepare accordingly. I'm going to have to meditate a whole lot more, but
the words you use matter, right?
Yes.
Like we can, is that on your, let's put that on your t-shirt the next time we have this. Words matter. The words you use matter. Let's put that on a mug. No, I just think the ability to control what is going to hurt your feelings when I say a thing that I think is important to say, I have no control over. I don't know, unless I know for a fact, like, you know what I'm saying? Like certain things, across the board, we will all be upset or go, if I'm judging you physically,
right?
If I'm judging you in a way that is just like so harsh, in a way where I'm like, maybe you personally would be offended by this, or it would put you in a place that I don't want you to be, but because I say this particular word, it might push you to that spot.
I think the word personally that you used was really important in what you said, because I think something I always asked people that I work with is sort of like, what is your ideal professional communication style, right? Like, how do you receive feedback best? Because it is so different person to person.
For sure.
But then, I've only worked with like smaller teams, so I don't know what it's like on like a larger scale of like, you can't cater to every single person's communication style, right?
You can't.
So I hear what you're saying, and I think that's something that like I definitely want to incorporate a little more too, is like less holding back and more being able to just like freely speak my mind, my opinions, obviously while still being like considerate of them and like realizing that like in the end, we're all on the same team with the same goal. We're trying to achieve something great. And that's what's really important to keep in mind.
For sure. It's a little stressful.
Yeah. Because you're not just working for yourself anymore.
No. It's a bit stressful. And then, in this year for me, like there's a lot of new, back to the idea of new. There's a new book that I have coming out this year. I have a new special coming out on PBS in a few months. I have a new collection coming out with
new.
cool brand in the future.
Yeah. And a lot of this, are things you can't necessarily do alone. Or if you did, it wouldn't be the quality that it wouldn't be the quality, or the timeline that it is.
It wouldn't be, but it wouldn't. Maybe it would be the quality, but It's not that I need all of you. No, I need you here. But what I'm saying is I wouldn't be able to do as much.
Exactly.
Right? I think quality would stay consistent, but I wouldn't be able to do as much. Yeah. The time, like I wouldn't be able to do all of it. Like obviously the PBS special couldn't have been done without having a team together because it was in the same time period as me trying to finish up a new book.
Yeah.
Shout out to those who work with me on the publishing side to put out these books. I do want to say that. Mm-hmm. But having a team there for me to help me get that book done, help me in the workings, I would say, of the PBS special, and then push all of the content out that we need to push out. And now here we are with a podcast. The only reason why
how did we get here?
I know, right? I just give you more work. You're on the team.
Where am I?
I need you guys together, right? You're like, I would like to work with you, Hilton. I was like, I would love for you to work with me. And I was like, I want you to be my director of operations.
And then please sit in front of this mic.
And then please be on a podcast.
And start.
When I hired you, we weren't talking about I was going to have a podcast. But the only reason why I never, when I stopped my first podcast, because I did have a podcast.
Right.
You know this.
Yes, I
did. Did you listen to it?
I did listen to it.
You listened to the first episode where I brought my wife in?
Yes, I listened to it because Jennifer, shout out Jennifer again,
told
me about how much she loved your original podcast.
That podcast was moving, but you know why it stopped?
Why?
Because podcasts are, I'm not going to use the F-bomb, but they are fucking hard. Oh my God,
you literally just did.
I lied to myself already. But yeah, they're hard to create, produce. I love the idea of talking. Yeah. So that podcast was called Journey in Greenery.
Yes.
My Journey in Greenery. Shout out to my new broadcast channel. But my Journey in Greenery was birthed, I would say, out of Wild Interiors. Wild Interiors happened to come out when the pandemic was like, take all of this and freaked everyone out. Things got shut down. And it was right when that book released.
Yeah.
So I was like, in order to get people to, because I was going to go on book tour, I was like, if I'm not going on a tour, let me do other things that involve people who were a part of the book. Because the people who were in the book, were featured in Wild Interiors, were also supposed to be a part of the tour. Like when I went through these cities, they were going to come up and we were going to talk, kind of like you and I right now, about their journey in greenery. Okay. So I was like, you know what? I'll do a podcast where I talk to all of these individuals first, make my way through all the people in the book, and then we'll have these conversations with others. I got 2 in, and then I did a 3 in, and I did a 4th one, and we recorded the whole thing. And then when I got to edit it, there were so many weird clips, and some things were just like sounds that weren't there when I was recording, and it just got a lot stressful. I was like, it is adding so much to my workload already.
Definitely.
And at the end of the day, and at this point I had to wipe this from my fear board, right? You have a mood board, I have a fear board. And it was on my fear board, right? It was like, if they're not listening, why even create it? Right?
Yeah.
And I was just thinking like, maybe no one's listening to this. Why am I doing this?
I think that's a scary and very real thought for a lot of different content creators, not just podcasts, but
for sure.
You know, I know how much like one Instagram post, like the amount of people and energy and time and creativity that goes into something like that, a podcast, you know, a YouTube channel, that just the sheer editing that has to happen. I mean, there's so much work to produce this like beautiful one thing, but then it's like, if there's no viewers, is that still considered art? You know,
if there's no one to see,
is that entertainment if it's not entertaining anybody?
If a tree falls
in the forest, all that.
I think people know what the hell. You don't have to say the thing that people know. Yes, if a tree falls. But I do think for me, there's always been that if no one's watching, if no one's listening, who am I making this for?
Yeah.
But again, I'm making it for the one who is listening, who is watching. And I'm making it for me. I loved making that podcast, talking to people about their journey in greenery. I loved it. But there were a lot of hiccups and issues with making that podcast. And it was keeping me from doing a lot of other things. So when I had the team that I have now, I said, look, one of the things that I think I want to get back into is podcasting because I love talking to people.
For sure.
So while I'm talking, I will be talking with you on every single one of these. We'll have other guests in and maybe talk to them about their journey in greenery, maybe their journey in design, maybe their journey in social, which probably sucks. Their journey, or maybe they're popping off. I don't know. Their journey in love, right? I mean, I could talk about my journey in love. My entire social climb, I'll say, has been a journey in love. Honestly. Oh, look at that face. If you can't see your face, all right, I'll keep saying things like this. No, but I think it's been I'm going to put out the thing that makes me feel the happiest. Mm-hmm. And I am happy to do so because I am supported by an individual in my household that is giving me every reason to believe I am great. So I already wake up really having support.
Yeah. Deep, unconditional support.
Unconditional. And as an only child, and I'm sure, and we already talked about your family. Yeah. I had a mom that was like, yo, you are great. Uh-huh. You are so great. Look at you. And I do that to Holland and I go, oh no, will I turn her into me? You know, my friends who know me as the only child are like, bad? Oh my God, this guy thinks he is God's gift. Yeah.
That's so funny. Well, as someone who grew up with an Asian mother, I sort of had the opposite motherly experience of no matter what I did, nothing was enough.
Hold on. Hold on. Before you move forward with this, hold on. Asian mother. You said it as if that's a difference between just me having a regular mother, like a black mother.
Yes.
What's the difference to having an Asian mother or having...
I am not going to speak on behalf of all Asian mothers or Asian children with Asian mothers.
For all Asian mothers.
But I read a book a couple years ago called Tiger Mom by Amy Chua. And
is she Asian?
She's Asian.
Okay, you got it.
And it talks about her growing up with her tiger mom is what she calls it. Which so much of that, I was like, this is my exact experience of just feeling like nothing I could do will be enough to have my mom just be so proud of me. Nothing. Which just made me work harder to seek approval, which is a very hard thing to unlearn as an adult. Yes. And where I no longer am just trying to impress my mother, but, I'm trying to impress myself. Where it's about me and like me being happy with the work I produce as opposed to it being for someone else.
For sure. And when did this hit you?
This hit me probably a couple years into working. So like after school and then just...
And we're talking, so we're talking like 4 years ago. I don't know exactly, but you're not like my age.
I graduated in 2015.
You're putting your age out there.
8 years ago.
8 years ago is when you graduated. This is when you were like, I can't have my mom
I felt
in
lost.
My head all the time telling me you're not doing enough.
It wasn't like I can't. It was more like, well, now what do I do? Now who is this for? And then I had to sort of look internally and be like, oh, it's for me.
So for the first 22, 23 years, let's just say from the time you were about 7 to about 22, you thought, or you had this idea of yourself that you weren't doing enough unless you had your mother's approval.
100%. I think schooling especially was like, I had no other purpose of doing well in school aside from just seeing my mom happy, really, when I like bring home good grades and stuff.
For sure.
I didn't get a lot of like self-excitement and, my patting on my own back from anything that I did until later. But shout out to my mom. I love her.
Of course you do.
And what she did for me in that situation of parenting me is allowed me to work really freaking hard.
Yeah.
Like work really hard, do things that I'm proud of, and not be as happy or disappointed in myself when I'm not, to like drive myself to keep doing better.
Is that what a tiger mom? That's the goal of a tiger mom?
Sort of like the opposite parenting logic of like a lot of other countries and cultures.
It's just
like, you're not great. You're not great. But then again, like she,
you're not great yet.
Yes. Or like comparing me to like my peers.
But you don't have a peer.
Like that. my other, she was a mom. She had mom friends.
Oh, she was like Susan's daughter.
Yes,
is killing it in school. She has triple A's.
Yes,
like AAA for just this one class.
And it's like a very
and you only have one A lady.
Exactly.
I guess it would be A++, right? Isn't that what they call it? Yeah. So she was putting this competitive nature. She was enforcing
but it wasn't just her. And like I can go on about this for a long time. But long story short is that like it is a built-in Korean culture in a lot of ways. Korea went through the Korean War. It ended in like 1953. We were so poor. There was just nothing going on. It's just not the Seoul and the metropolis that we consider Korea to be now, or this like global economic powerhouse. What it was then was just absolute nothing, just dirt, huts, just terrible.
Yeah, for sure.
And then for us to rebuild in the short period of time that we have required some competitiveness, required, people being disappointed in you if you're not doing well, to sort of spark that spirit in you to like do things as best as you possibly can, better than everyone else to get you to where you are now. And I think what I'm seeing a lot now, which is really cool, is sort of the Korean Gen Zs are sort of finally taking a step back, taking a breather and being like, you know what? I want to do what I want to do. No one can tell me what to do. And sort of embracing that more individualistic idea of this is for myself and I'm going to express myself freely. And I really love that we're there as a country and as a culture going more towards that and less about like the competitive nature of everything.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Mrs. Lee for putting that in your butt. I do.
Mom, I love you. 사랑해.
Like your mom's listening to this. Is your mom, is Mrs. Lee proud of your decision? I guess at this point, what you're telling me is it doesn't matter if she's proud of you or not, but your decision to work with, so it still matters, of course. It always matters. But
I love my mom.
Would she be proud if you told her that you were working for an individual like myself?
I did tell her.
You did tell her. What was her reaction? I didn't know you told her.
Of course I told her.
What did you, so okay. Take me through how all this worked out. Walk me through every single moment. Did you fly to Korea? Now, I don't know if your mom lives here or not.
She lives in Korea.
Oh, your mom lives. Oh, your mom lives in Korea.
Both my parents live there.
Oh, yeah. Hold up. They moved back.
No, they've always lived there. My mom and I moved to America together in middle school. She stayed here for 2 years, and then I went to boarding school, and then she moved back.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. These are things I'm learning like real time knowledge, like learning who my
Hi, nice
my podcast partner is. There? Okay, so you flew to Korea. Or you told her on the phone? I don't know.
I told her on the phone.
Okay.
I told her on the phone.
Phone or FaceTime?
Phone. We don't really FaceTime. I let her know that I got a new job and that I'm working for a plant and interior stylist based in Baltimore, and that I am, I was feeling a little stuck in my past job in terms of growth. And that's not, even professional growth, but just doing the same thing for 5.5 years felt like a long time to me then.
For sure.
And then I just wanted to do more. And then that's actually how I reached out to you organically and got this job. And my mom, literally anything I do after college she was just so proud of me. I crocheted like a shrimp ornament the other day and I sent her a picture and she just wrote like paragraphs about how amazing it was.
I love that.
Like she was just so enthralled and was just like, this is amazing. Like you created art. Like I am so proud of you. I love you. And so it's just been great being able to like reap the benefit of that. And I think more generally speaking, she just loves that I have become my own person, lived, by myself in this country for this long.
Yeah.
And I think it comes from a place of guilt for her too, of just, not being here as like a mother figure physically with me since I was 13, and things like that. I think she's just really proud of me generally for being like an independent person who's, making my own money and doing what she loves and seeking opportunities and staying motivated and trying to be healthy and things like that.
I'm sure Mrs. Lee has all those feelings because obviously, like you said, she didn't learn how to parent just randomly, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure she had a tiger mom as well.
For
maybe.
sure. It's genetic.
It's genetic.
I'm worried for my future children.
Hold on. Why are you worried? Wouldn't you feel like the thing that you've learned, you're already going to release the tiger part of the mom and just be what kind of mom would you be? A bear mom? I don't know. What is a softer mom? Like a red panda mom.
Red panda mom.
Yeah.
That's definitely what I'm going for.
Yeah. So maybe instead of tiger mom, red panda mom. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got to talk about your mom.
Yeah. Tell me about your mom.
My mom.
Tiger mom or panda mom?
More panda than tiger. Wow. Very, very supportive. But I will say my mom had the ability to say or to see when I was excited about something and support that thing. The difference I will say between my upbringing and probably yours is that I grew up with no money. And so anything that was different or exciting that brought happiness, I will say, was the thing that my mom was like, do that thing. Because there was so much ugliness in my world, I will say, when I was growing up. So it was just like growing up as a kid in Baltimore City and then my mom being like, let's get this kid out of this city. But she supported all little things. And she saw that in the early age that I loved art. So any sort of art schooling, education I could get, I would chase and she would support that idea. So
that's huge, Hilton, because I know how much like art education is. It comes with a price tag.
For sure.
Art supplies come with the price tag, no matter what your medium is.
Yep.
You don't know what the payout is as an investment.
Yeah.
That's amazing that your mom did that for you.
And here I am today just talking about plants.
I know.
No.
Incredible.
And I will say this.
We need your mom on this show.
We need my mom. I mean, if I had my mom on here, the first thing I would say to her is this. So, how does it feel to have been so wrong? Right? And we'll kind of end this podcast on this. New year, right? Anyone listening, watching, I will say this, and you heard about Mrs. Lee, Molly's mom, pushing their kids, their children, the people they love to be better, and sometimes saying things that kind of will rub us the wrong way, rub people the wrong way. As I talked about my red panda mom, very, very gentle in how she raised me and was very supportive in every decision that I thought would be great for me in my life. She was like, you like that? Do that. You like that? Do that. When I told my mom that I was really into plants and I wanted to, I was designing my home with plants in 2015, I remember my mom came, I had just moved back to Baltimore. My mom was coming to stay with me. She was seeing my new place and I had already had about 180 something plants. My mom walks into my house and she's like, ooh, what is happening here? Why are there so many plants? And then she says the thing that changed everything I thought about what I was doing. And she said, no one's going to like this.
You had your first hater.
I had my first hater out the gate. First hater. You know what? But I respect my mom. She said that thing IRL right to my face. Most haters, they hide behind keyboard and you know what I'm saying?
ID,
fake ID. But my mom was like, I don't need an avatar. I'm straight right here. And this ain't it. The first person to say, this ain't it. And I was like, it ain't it to you. It is to me. And I will say I found a community of people who all thought, yeah, that's for me too.
Yeah.
Mrs. Tracy put her name out there.
Mrs. Tracy,
so for me, with all the support that my mom gave me throughout most of my life, that was her and her feelings about what she thought the look of my home was. And she did not like it. She didn't think others would like it, which is...
And there are people who don't like it.
There are people who don't like it. Of course. People minimalists who don't like a lot of things in their homes, don't like a lot of plants, don't like dirt, et cetera, et cetera.
Aesthetics is personal.
Exactly.
What you bring into your home is personal.
Exactly. But for the thing that I want to make sure that when we're talking about the new year, new growth, shout out to all my plant friends, new growth. Let's get that new growth going. I know it's January, but let's get that new growth going. Come Come on, friends. Come on, Frank. But it's the idea that regardless, and this goes back to Mrs. Lee as well, any individual who is around those who are supporting us, who love us, sometimes support comes into our ears negatively.
Definitely.
Right? And you're like, what are you saying to me? You're saying the thing that I love so much I suck at? Sometimes you just have to eat that and continue to do the thing that is making you happy.
For sure.
For that moment. If you decide at this very moment, you know what, my resolution is to leave my job and to do the thing that just makes me happy. It's gonna make me less money, but it's gonna make me happy. Chase it. Go after it. Regardless of how many times someone's gonna come to you and say, you're not good at this, or this doesn't look right, or I don't see it. I can't see how you're going to be a chef now.
Right.
After spending 20 years in IT. Like, how are you going to be a chef all of a sudden? Definitely. Yes, you cook good, but I'm the only one that believes you cook well. Like, you know, do the thing that makes you happy. Definitely. Let the individuals who are pushing you to change something up or stick in your lane, stay in your lane. Yeah. No. Do the thing that is going to bring you that happiness. Definitely. And you'll find it. If you really are terrible at that thing, but if you're really terrible at that thing, you'll find out.
You'll find out.
But you're not going to find.
You said that you tried.
Yeah, but I'm saying is you're not going to find out the same day you try it.
No.
It might take it just doesn't. And that's the thing too. I will say, and we'll end it there. It doesn't happen overnight. No. Right? Like the day my mom told me that she didn't like what was going on in my home, there were no people watching my home and talking about plants, right? I wasn't sharing that sort of part of myself with anyone. I was just making my home happy for me, for like sure. a living space for me.
Definitely.
You know, so take it in. I said, I'm going to share these things with people who matter the most to me. And I'm going to be my mom, the way my mom was to me, I'm going to be that to someone else.
Definitely.
I might be that to you and say, I don't like this thing that you have going on.
Pretty sure you said that like a couple days ago.
Probably did. But you know what?
I appreciate that though. Like exactly. That is my kind of feedback. It's just like, okay, now I have a better sense of like what you like.
For sure.
And if I'm still really passionate and like know what I'm saying is like true, I'm going to keep pushing for it. And then we can talk it out. Like, you know, that's so important to have. The support system like Mrs. Tracy that you had is really important. Someone who loves you, telling you the truth is really important. Yeah. And I think that's, you know, something that, you know, not only parents, and I know, you know, we were both blessed to like have a mom who we're close to and all of that, but whoever you decide to have in your life, who you decide to call family, to have those people around you and love you no matter what and support you and sometimes tell you things you don't want to hear is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And just like the only child that I am, I always have to have the last word. So,
but I'm also an only child, so I also need the last word.
We are not going to end this podcast. This is the first podcast.
We need to say something at the same time.
We have to end by saying something at the exact same time. This podcast, what is the title of this podcast? Inside Hilton's head. Not Molly's head. You know, we're going to tap into what's in your head, but
so I'm going to start my own podcast soon, guys. I'll link it below.
Link it below. Boo.
Inside Molly's brain.
Molly. Okay, maybe people do want to hear that. We will find out because they're going to comment for sure, or they won't because they're not listening. But you know what? I don't care. I need to spend this time with you anyway.
Yeah, this
you know,
is great.
We work together, we learn more about each other, and it'll make us better for working with each other, right?
For sure.
So this was it. This was the start.
Nice work.
One in the can, the bag. I don't know what they say when it comes to podcasts.
In the pot.
In the pot. Ooh, one in the pod. Did you say pot or the pot?
Pot.
One in the pot. I want to say one in the pod.
Oh, that's cute too.
You know, we're like two peas.
We're not ending on that metaphor.
Thank you all for listening.
Thanks, y'all.
I hope you'll tune in for our next episode.
Yes.
The whole thing is this, and I'll be done. We have to keep it going.
We have to. That's important.
So many podcasts end after like 3 episodes.
I know.
We're going to keep it going.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Let's keep producing.
The new year, we're going to keep going. We're going to go at least through this year. Right?
We gotta.
Yeah. We're going to keep going at least up until your yearly review. So
that's a good checkpoint. Yeah.
It's a good checkpoint. Yeah, exactly. There we are. There. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in.
Thanks,
everyone
y'all.
have a great start to your year, and we'll Chat soon.